to the PrepperNow. I'm going to talk today about some of the things going on in the United Kingdom. Someone had a question about the red heifer. And I found this, so I thought I would post on it. And there's some news conference by Orange Man Bad. And there was a news clip yesterday, I believe it was, from Joe, and I want to talk about that as well. And so all of these things going on. My apologies for kind of a strange time to post and not going last night. We actually lost our internet again, third time. I don't know if there's a wood sprite out there, but today randomly a tree fell over and took out our internet for the second time in about 6 weeks. So have a couple thousand trees around us, and why it keeps going right, and it's like 6 trees that could take this thing out, and it's twice now. So I don't know what the odds are. Hopefully we're good for a while. So my wife had to scramble, and she works from home, and here we are. So we're posting in a little bit of a strange time, but I wanted to talk about this. I actually had this lined up, so it's probably good that I hesitated to go live earlier on in the day, the tree would have taken out the stream midway. So, you know, it's funny. Everything happens for a reason. I always see things and I'm like, man, you know, why is this happening? This is no good. And then later it's revealed of why, you know, and I think, you know, personally, it's God. So someone on the channel asked, like, what about the red heifer? It was in a comment. I don't know if it was on Crisis Report or if it was here. And this one popped out at me. So they wanted to know, like, what's going on with this. For those that don't know, it's a prophecy thing. And, you know, we don't really deal with that kind of thing here, but it ties in with what's going on in the Middle East, and it ties in with their comment, and it just generally ties in with everything. And so I thought, you know what, let's take a look. And this is from Middle East Eye, and it is about the ritual that just happened and what's going on there, because there are people that believe that this red heifer and the ritual, and it's like a cleansing thing, needs to happen to create the third temple. Third temple happens, and then we're you know, ready for the Messiah and the AC and everything else, you know. So hopefully my supporters that are DJT is the AC will be here. I personally, I don't know. I think there's a whole slew of people. Like, I could see Elon Musk being the AC much quicker than I could see DJT. But that's just personal. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, what is it about this? You know, I don't know what it is. But they say they've got all this information and stuff and whatever. Cool. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. But as it stands right now, neither here nor there. So they asked about this red heifer thing. And I've got more than this. We're going to do our usual roundabout where we talk about different things. If you are here and just getting here, please, of course, engage and hit the buttons. Because I had the audacity to go a little political on here as of late. We've been getting the business, if you will. So anything you can do to help is great. You know, they've basically turned off the ability for me to grow as a channel, which they'll do from time to time. It's nothing we're not used to. So this tradition comes that this red heifer is it's a purification, okay? And they explain it here. So this is today on Zero Hedge, which is why I saw it, because I frequent that you know, this online news source, and basically these groups have gotten these red heifers from a farm in Texas, and they need to do these rituals and do this cleansing, because supposedly unless they are cleansed, they can't enter this area. And it goes on from there. You know, it's not a long story, but I just, you know, someone asked about it, and I thought it was interesting. I thought, let's do it. Let's talk about it. So they're from Texas. and they had to be pure. And basically, what they said was it had to be blemish-free cows without a stray white or black hair, totally red. Okay, and leave it to Texas to hook us up with some pure, beautiful cows. Temple Institute imported the heifers for eventual purpose of using them in a ritual after years of searching for these. So these things are from Texas. They are supposedly blemish-free, and they can be used, okay? And it will allow Jewish people to be purified so they can perform rites in worship on this site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And this area is, of course, of great importance to all the religions, the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So, traditional site of the ritual Mount of Olives, seen in the background on the other side of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, suggesting the practice run was performed within the old city. So they're doing these things to bring on, in their mind, the Messiah. You know, maybe they're right. Maybe, I don't know. You know, this is all, you know, their way of going about bringing the Messiah. And you know, they say that this has to happen. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that someone asked about this, and I thought it'd be an interesting way to start things off. You know, I'm not the kind of person that can go in there and just, you know, I'm a history guy, but I'm by no means a biblical history guy. You know, I'm not good at that. So there it is right there. There's this red heifer. Yeah, that is Hebrew, of course, and I can't read it. One of my friend growing up could, but Chief Rabbinate of Jerusalem has also, since 1921, officially banned Jews from entering the Temple Mount. Ruled the Jews are forbidden to enter the site unless ritually clean, which is impossible without the ashes of a red heifer. So they have advocated for the return of Jewish prayer at Al-Aqsa, and evidently they need these red heifers to happen. And you know, they call it the mitzvah, religious duty, of the red cow in front of the Temple Mount, and with that, they will get their Messiah. You know, this is their a Jewish tradition they want to have happen. So, for that person that asked, you shall receive. This is what's going on. And, you know, if you have more to expand upon it, please feel free to get it on in there into the chat or into the comments, and I would love to see it and learn more, you know, because it's interesting to me. But today, Orange Man Bad had a you know, a little bit of a news conference, and he said now that our country is in the most dangerous position it's ever been from an economic standpoint and a safety standpoint. We could end up with a depression of 1929 variety, and we're very close to World War. So, of course, you hear that World War, and you hear all that, kind of some end-of-the-world type stuff. So, you know, to tie into the open of the red heifer story, which, again, is on Zero Hedge if you want to read it for yourself, this would all tie in, you know. We're basically, there's a lot of people, and I've been seeing them since Rona, saying that we are in the end of days. Again, I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no, I'm just going to say, okay, well, who was that just hooked me up? Who we got there? Jeffrey, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you. So, you know, his conference was your typical Trump, an hour long, which, by the way, if you want to waste your time, come on over to X and just watch people battle it out in the comments of here. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Guys looking to find this. I saw it on Telegram, and I want to show it here. So I'm just going to play this right now for you. This is a news conference. All the majors carried it, so this is for posterity. I should be able to get away with some of this. Here we go.
Appreciate your being here. Just a statement before I talk about debates. I think that our country is right now in the most dangerous position it's ever been in, from an economic standpoint, from a safety standpoint. Both gangs on the street and, frankly, gangs outside of our country in the form of other countries that are frankly very powerful. They're very powerful countries, and we don't know what we're doing. We have leadership that has no clue how to handle them or how to handle any other situation. We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that. And we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that.
So I thought that was interesting. There's been a lot of people that have been saying that we're already basically in a global conflict. We're already in the Third World War. I've said that. I personally think so. I think that we are in a very dangerous time. There's a lot of, America used to be the leader, in the world and all that. Say what you will about it, but, we were the Pax Americana, and some people were into that, some people were not. But the world was not as precarious as it is now. And now that things are in this way, there are a lot of people that are very concerned and see it. They see that all of this is kind of coming down to a possible conflict all over. I mean, I don't have to name you all the flashpoints. If you have never been over to the Crisis Report, please feel free, where we cover it daily on all the different stuff from China to the SMO in Ukraine with Russia to the Middle East, of course, and then even other areas like we touch on Africa and we touch on South America with Venezuela and all that. So, yeah, the whole world is really in a precarious spot. Also, he's not off on the 1929 variety of the Great Depression. If you've been following finance recently, the financials in the country are not good. The bond market has been having issues. The stock market has been having issues, and it's tough if you have your money in there, which I currently don't. I'm on the path of other things, but the world is in a very precarious state, and so one of the things I've been saying here is that with this whole election, and it has been very interesting to see, especially now that Kamala is the supposed, and it's still not completely official, she is the supposed choice for the Democrats, which has aggravated a lot of Democrats. A lot of people over there are really aggravated, saying they didn't really get a say in things, and they like other people. I mean, if you remember back to 2020, Kamala didn't do well when it was coming up to other people on the debate stage, when it was, when they didn't know if it was going to be Joe or whoever. She didn't fare too well. In fact, I think Marianne Williamson actually did better than she did. And now, of course, she is the pick, but it's like, who chose her? But I'm worried about all this because I have been saying here, and if you take all the different things, you take the financials, you take the precipice of a world war, you take the lawfare that is going, and it's more than likely going to take over the interregnum period, which is basically November to January. And that is when the hopeful, peaceful transfer of power occurs, and we go from one leader to the next. And, I want whoever is running the country to, do a good job, because I'm riding on the plane like everybody else. And if the plane goes into the side of a mountain, we've all got issues. And one thing caught my eye, and I don't know if it was from today or yesterday. I'm going to hear in a moment when I see the date, but Joe was on a CBS Sunday morning taping. And, of course, it was his usual gaffe, but sometimes I think almost that these gaffes are on purpose. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Again, this is all just conjecture. I don't know anything definitively. I'm just putting it all out there for your consideration, because I think you're smarter than I am, and you're going to come up with better ideas, and hopefully you'll post those into the chat, into the comments. But Joe basically said he doesn't see a peaceful transfer. And he said in his first interview, since leaving the 2024 race, which he came out saying yesterday that he wasn't really into it. He was kind of mad. And he doesn't think Kamala is a great choice. And there are a lot of people that agree with that. But he's not confident at all that a peaceful transfer of power will happen in January 2025 if President Trump loses. Now, of course, he said this two different ways. He did his usual flub of everything. He said, means to say we don't take him seriously. He means it. He does say something incorrectly, so I'm going to correct it in real time. But this is concerning. You know, this is the kind of thing I think people are not really watching out for, and is honestly more important than what is going on the debate and on the campaign trail. And we'll just listen to him real quick and see what he says.
Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
If Trump wins, no, I'm not confident at all. I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident at all. He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. All the stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath. It'll have to be a stolen election. Look what they're trying to do now in the local election districts where people count the votes. They're putting people in place in states that they're going to count the votes, right? You can't love your country only when you win.
All right, well, first and foremost, poll watchers are allowed. And second of all, the bloodbath statement was not a statement about like a bloodbath in the streets. It was pertaining to finance and a bloodbath on Wall Street. So let's just make that clear right there. But of course, you know, that's part of the problem with the rhetoric, and both sides do it. You know, they take what other people say and they go and they run with it, and they make it sound like they're going to be violent or something like that. And I think that's kind of part of the big problem right now with everything is there is the usual rhetoric that I grew up with. Okay, the rhetoric I grew up with on the campaign trail was, you know, they're not going to do a great job on jobs. They're not going to do a great job on the economy. They're not going to do a great job on the environment. Whatever the heck you want to put in there, it was the different items of campaigning that were debated. It was, you know, everybody had a platform. I don't even see platforms anymore. I think it was reported that Kamala didn't even have one on her website. Maybe she's updated it. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, what are the platforms? What are the different policy standpoints of people, you know? Trump we're used to. We know what he's going to blather on and talk way too much. And, you know, but at least we know what we're getting in with him. We've had him before. I don't know what's going to be coming with Kamala. I don't know what's going to be coming with this new progressive push on the left side of the political aisle. And I got to be honest, I'm concerned. So, as we've all seen, there's been a lot of lawfare out there as of late. I mean, all you have to do, is look at what Orange Man Bad has had to go through in the campaign trail in June, you know, when he was in, how many different lawsuits, how many different legal things were going on. And of course, he got through, I think he's gotten through all of them, with the exception of a couple. And everything that happened was basically the only reason why it came to pass for the guy to have, you know, a conviction or whatever the heck it was, is because it was totally partisan and done in a way that no matter what, you can convict a ham sandwich if it's a Republican in New York. So all this is concerning to me. There's Dr. Chris Martenson said it in 2020. He called it the interregnum. That's time between kings. And the interregnum period that is going on, or is coming, between November to January 2025, I think is going to be one of the most critical in our country's history. Okay? I really do believe that. I think that all of this is going to be murky and muddy, and there's not going to be a clear winner. There's already different things going on that are really muddying the waters. The Harris campaign, of course, just held a big campaign thing in Michigan, and they're showing all these pictures, but anybody with a little bit of ability on the internet can look at these pictures and say a lot of them have been AI generated. They can say that the pictures are enhanced and in other things, I mean, definitely people went there, but people are calling out that Kamala was at this, supposed packed political campaign, but, also had all these numerous musicians, and Bon Iver, who is a very popular Grammy Award winning musician. And so they're like, well, who are you there? You remember when Hillary was doing things with LeBron James and others, are you there to see the free concert? Are you there actually because you believe you want to be on that political side? Trump, I think we've pretty much seen that Trump has done he has recreated, or at least he is now the metric when it comes to political campaigning. And so also there's someone been saying, if you notice, he hasn't been outdoors, and he hasn't been as exposed as he was even a few weeks ago. And the reason why a lot of people think is because they're concerned that he is vulnerable to potential, like what happened on July 13th. Okay, you can use your imagination. I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. And there are certain things I can't say here, and just not so much going to get you in trouble, but hindrance is hindrance. So all this is really politically nasty, and I think the time going on between November and January is going to be really nutty, and I think the lawfare that is going to happen, they're already lining up lawyers, they're already lining up legal teams, and they're already lining up everything they need to do battle on a legal kind of stance of things. And so it's going to get tough, and I think that from there you're going to see a political style of violence that is happening like we have right now in the United Kingdom. And then what's going on in the United Kingdom, of course, I think everybody has heard. It's been very, very problematic. Hey man, can you go somewhere else? My kid learned to live stream with his buddy, his little friend. So now every day they're sitting there screaming at each other through their iPads online. Anyway, this whole thing is, it's playing out in UK, and they're calling them keyboard warriors. Well, if you've been following all this, and this is something I worry about, say what you will about the Tube here. Tube and I have a history now, and there's things I like and there's things I don't like. But for the most part, I can get on here and do most of the things I want to do. I can say most of the things I want to say, right? In the United Kingdom, you can't even do that anymore. And what's going on over there is incredibly concerning. I heard about a lady today that got arrested because she retweeted something. And what they called it was, they said that she retweeted misinformation or something incorrect. So now in the United Kingdom, because of all this political violence, and the grand point I'm making is, I'm worried that this is going to come here, especially with the kind of people on the political left and this whole push to silence. There's been a real push to silence the internet waves so people can't say things, so people can't contest things, so people can't think a certain way. I mean, if it wasn't for internet sleuths, we wouldn't know 3/4 of what we know now all over the place. It was internet sleuths that were listening to recordings of Butler. There was internet sleuths that were going out there and looking into health data. It was internet sleuths that were doing all kinds of things like that and enlightening us to things that are of concern. Well, if all that is deemed, misinformation, okay, that's fine. It's one thing to suppress. It's one thing to repress. It's one thing to hold it so it's not pushed out there, and you got to do the extra heavy lifting to make sure people are seeing it. But it's another thing to make it so you have people like Metropolitan Police Sir Mark Rowley, the head saying that keyboard warriors could be hit with terror charges for inciting riots online, even if they are living abroad. So imagine I'm over here and I get some video of, say, like a dude standing in a cafe and he is attacked and gets the crap beaten out of him, like basically some of the things I've seen online. You know, these are people that are posting it all over. It's on Telegram, it's on Twitter, it's all over the place. It's on YouTube. And this guy is threatening people, saying you can't do that anymore. What kind of a society is that? Like, what kind of a society, who wants to live in that kind of an environment? Let's say you see something and you think it's concerning and you're like, oh my gosh, I want people to be aware of this. And you push it out there, and then all of a sudden you get a knock on the door, and they're like, hey, we've just been watching your we've been watching your activity online with the police. And we just want to let you know that, we want to bring you in for some questioning. And we think that what you're doing here in pushing this information out to the larger public is problematic. And it's incorrect. And because of that, you could be subject to criminal liability. So think about all that. I mean, now you literally can't even be incorrect. Okay, like I say incorrect things from time to time. I'm a pretty well-studied guy. I try to, put out good information because honestly, I don't want to be I'd rather have a smaller channel that gets it right and is not pushed out there than be some huge channel that puts out a bunch of just dribble and hyperbole and crap. I really would. And if it's to the point now where you get things incorrect, you get in trouble. Like I said that Tel Aviv was 6 hours ahead on the crisis report. And it's actually 7 hours ahead. I screwed that up. And I went in and I said, hey, just want to let you know I messed this up. I put it out there that it's a time difference of 6 hours. It's actually 7. Like, are we to the point now, like, where that is wrong? I mean, like, and not only is that wrong, like, are we to the point now where you can get in trouble for saying, like, stuff like that? Like, mea culpa, I was off by an hour when I was doing all the research to figure out what the heck's going on in southern Lebanon, So that's basically what this guy is saying. He said he made comments in response to waves of rioting that unfolded across the United Kingdom. And by the way, the video that's coming out now of what's going on there is incredibly concerning. I mean, basically, if you're in Birmingham, and I don't mean to get this incorrect, but this is one of the cities that's been up there and talked about, but if you're like in Birmingham, you want to be in your home locked, like doors locked, ready to roll. And of course, over there, you don't have the abilities that we do here to protect yourself, but that's another video for another day. But he made comments in response to all this going on. And of course, why is this going on? Well, 3 little girls were killed. Okay, let's just not forget about that. That's really important, especially as a daddy of 2 little girls. And they were at a Taylor Swift dance class in Southport. 17-year-old Rwandan goes in and does some really heinous, nasty, horrible things. And now he's saying that the full force of the law is going to be used against people that got mad at that and are, sharing videos or sharing things that are going on. There are people that have been wanting to protest. Some people are not happy. Some people think that there's a bit of two-tier justice over there. In fact, Keir Starmer is now known as two-tier Keir, if you know what's going on over there. They're really aggravated. They are unhappy. If my daughter was dispatched by anyone, and I thought that there was a way to make it so other dads didn't have to go through the pain and suffering that my family did, you better believe I'm going to go out there and do it. I've said this many times here. I'm here right now because of my kids, because I'm very concerned about the world that they are going to be inheriting here, especially if we get the other side of the political equation in there and some of the stuff they're doing, because they're in line with this. They're in line with shutting down discourse and conversations online. They're the ones that are pushing all of that, saying that, it's dangerous to talk about stuff. I'm old enough to remember sticks and stones may break my bones, but names and internet chit chat will never hurt me. So, full force of the law will be used against offenders. I believe, if I remember correctly, if it's incitement, it's either 5 or 7 years. Okay? Great British Prepper in the background, sir. I still got to get to your stuff. I'd love to hear from you again. If you could correct me on all of the different things, because, again, I want to put out good information. And don't do anything to get yourself in trouble, brother. But, I've got subscribers from the United Kingdom, and I care about them. I know I was, doing the accent over on Crisis Report, but that was more to make fun of the talking heads and their bull crap, which goes in line with this. But full force of the law. He's made it clear that not just people physically involved, but people making inflammatory comments. So you say, these pieces of crap, yada, yada, yada. Boom, you could potentially be getting a knock on the door. So, yeah, you can't put any mean posts, can't put any mean tweets, and of course they're going after Elon. And say what you will. I know people don't like him, and I don't think he's any kind of a savior. And if you're just getting here, first and foremost, hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell. But I was saying I could see him being more of the AC than Orange Man bad. But anyway, I digress. So let's, I'm not going to do this guy. When the First Amendment, I don't think in an extradition request I'd get past the most underqualified lawyer. So over here, folks, hopefully there won't be a request by the old Mr. Rowley here to see PrepperNow in the beautiful Met rooms of interrogation. So, whether you're in this country committing crimes in the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you. Why don't you go after the people committing crimes? Because from what I understand, the people that are in the streets and are aggravated with all this currently are in the streets and aggravated because the crime is rising. So maybe instead of getting mad because someone is saying a tweet that butthurts people, maybe you should get your jackass out into the field and start, knocking on doors of people that are supposedly on watch lists. This guy had this great tweet. He said, if you guys went after the 90% of the people on your lists of suspicious people and you focus there instead of someone, forwarding a protest in Stoke-on-Trent, you might actually be getting somewhere. And that's kind of where we are. There is a 2-tier system over there now. That's why they said they would go out and protect the mosques, and they didn't say, what about the temples and what about the churches? There's been quite a swath of churches burnt down in Europe as of late. Just saying. That's not conjecture. That's not hyperbole. I almost thought about bringing up that stat, but again, neither here nor there. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up from behind the keyboard and maybe is a different country? Yes, said being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offenses of incitement. Well, over here we have a thing called freedom of speech. No one's going into a theater and yelling fire. But if I think you're kind of crappy at your job, I have the right to say that. And Mr. Rowley, I can tell you right now, if this is your focus on going after people in other countries, I personally think you are really crappy at your job. And the violence that you are seeing there is due to you fumbling what is going on all around you in the United Kingdom. So I don't think a mean tweet from Elon Musk is making what's happening. I think what's going on is a lot of your policies from the government and not really taking care of business as it pertains to keeping people safe on the streets. Just saying. That's where I'm going to put my indictment on there. So he said numerous offenses regarding publishing a material. All of those offenses are at play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we physically confront on the streets the thugs. So, if you call everything hatred, if everything is the racist, and all that kind of stuff, people sometimes don't like things because they just don't like them. It has nothing to do with a color of skin or a religion or anything. You know, I think people are really hoping for a rule of law in Britain and really don't like going to some of the no-go zones. If you don't know what a no-go zone is, go look that up. They do exist in England. These are places where you go there and they're, effectively not run by any kind of a British-based law enforcement. They are run by people in the community that are using more of a religious basis to thing than English common law. So, that right there is illegal. Are you guys doing anything to stop that? Are people going into different areas of Birmingham and saying, what you're doing here and some of the things are not so good? I don't think they are. And what if this expands? Right now, today in Iraq, there was a law that was put into place, and they have taken, or they're doing it right now. They're basically taking it so the age of consent in Iraq has gone from either 15 or 16 down to the age of 9. Do I not have the ability to say, you know what, I disagree with that? Or maybe we should protest something like that? Like, that's what this guy is saying. This is what these people hope for. Basically, what they hope for is to have no contesting whatsoever. If you don't like it, you just shut up and you deal with it. And you let these people go in and do what they're going to do because you're betters. They're better than you. And they know better. And, it's above your pay scale. And they're going to go in and they're going to do what they're going to do. I bet there's a lot of people in Iraq that are not really happy with a 10-year-old potentially being married. I have a 10-year-old girl in my house, and I can assure you she is not emotionally, physically, or anything ready for anything in that realm. So, that is concerning to me. What's going on in the United Kingdom is concerning to me. I like to travel the world. I do. I would love to see England. I've been to Ireland. I've been to Iceland. I've been to Belize. I've been to Thailand. I've been to Cambodia. I've been to Japan. We went to Canada over the summer. Just got back from there. Went and saw lovely Montreal and had some French baguettes and got reminded of why I like to live in the country and not in the city where I have to park 24/7 and pay the man. But I like to travel. I would very much like to go and see what London looks like. I really would. But honestly, I would not do it right now. I definitely wouldn't go to the United Kingdom in its current status of things. But as it is, I wouldn't go and see them anyway. Even if this whole thing going on in the streets right now is going on. So when I see this Rowley guy come out here and be like, you know what, you can't tweet mean things and you can't tell people that you protest stuff and you can't, show pictures of really concerning things. You can't do that. You guys are hindering yourselves. You're hurting yourselves. I would love to see England, but I'm not going to go there in the current state of things. So, and it's not a keyboard warrior to go and see stuff and to bring awareness. Some of the greatest change that has ever happened in humanity started with awareness. The reason why Gandhi was able to change the Indian subcontinent is because of awareness. We had media at that time showing him marching to the sea for salt and doing satyagraha. Can you imagine if this regime, if this guy was over there in an English-British uniform saying, yeah, we don't want people to see that, and if you join in with Gandhi, we're going to beat you up, or we're going to throw you in jail, which happened at that time, by the way. Think about that. Are we regressing now? I mean, you are super progressive when you are regressive in everything. When you want to get rid of freedom of speech, when you want to get rid of people's freedom of the press and freedom of, assembly and stuff like that. That's not progressive. That is regressive. So, guys like this, you want to know who's dangerous? It's not the person showing video of someone getting the ish kicked out of them at a pub for having the audacity to look at a bunch of young hooligans of a certain religious persuasion run down the street with sticks, machetes, and everything else. This is the problem. So people do not even need to personally post the content themselves to be deemed committing an offense. So even if you're not posting it, you're just getting credit. So we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media to look for the material and then follow up with arrests. Director of a Public Prosecutions of England and Wales warns that sharing online materials of riots could be an offense. So you can't even show people that terrible things happen. What if you're just worried, and your Aunt Tilly lives in Birmingham, and she only goes out to her bridge club at 4:00 on a Thursday, and you're like, you know what? I don't want Aunt Tilly to go out right now because there's a bunch of hooligans running around beating the crap out of anything with a certain pigmentation. I'm going to tweet to her the videos to show her and to really drive home the fact that she shouldn't be outside right now. Are people going to get in trouble for that? And by the way, America, don't be thinking that you're special. This crap is coming here. You know how I know that? Go look up a guy by the name of Scott Ritter. Who's that? Well, Scott Ritter is a very anti-war, and he's been I don't want to say pro-Russian, but definitely a how do I put it? Anti-demonization of Russia person in America. Okay, now for the record, he is married to a Russian, so maybe that has something to do with it. Pretty sure he is. But he was a weapons inspector for the United Nations. He was in there, and he was basically one of the guys that said we need to reconsider what's going on in Iraq about 21 years ago. Yesterday, his house in Del Mar, New York, was raided. And he's unable to travel because he was doing, conferences and stuff in other parts of the world. And they said, oh, well, what you're doing here is problematic. And we don't like what you're saying. This guy is internationally known. And, he's got quite a pedigree behind him for some of the things he's done. Being a UN weapons inspector and a major in the major person in our military, that takes some work and effort. I'm not vaunting him like he's some great guy. I'm just saying that it is concerning that this is where we're going with all this. There's a reason I am anonymous on this platform right now. It's more because I'm worried about what a certain person would do. I'm not worried about what the officials would do. I'm just basically pissing and moaning about our political trajectory, but still that's where we're at. There's not really a freedom anymore. It's the last vestiges of our freedom of speech are crumbling beneath us right now as we speak. Sincerely. So we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media to look for this material and then follow up with arrests. Director of Public Prosecutions of England and Wales warns that sharing online materials of riots could be an offense. So, don't you dare, okay? Because Sir Mark Rowley and his thugs are going to be coming and knocking on your door. Hello, sir. Just wondering if you'd posted some social media and shown some of the little bit of unrest going on Stoke-on-Trent, did you? That's where we're at, man. So, when we go back and we think about this difference between Orange Man bad and the left, and what's going on here in this interview with Joe, that he's not confident at all that there's going to be a peaceful transfer. So imagine we get to there and people start to, we're in a point where there is unrest and Americans are sharing this stuff. And then, the new legislative body that comes in January, somehow they magically get in and they're of a certain persuasion. Not that could ever happen. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know what I mean? And they go in and they start changing our law. And they say, you know what? Freedom of speech isn't a constitutional right anymore. We got to go out there and we got to stop that. It's just too dangerous. You guys sharing all this stuff. Look at all the stuff going on in the streets. We have to stop that now. We can't have you sharing unsavory things online. You might get people aggravated, and then they might go and do the same stuff. Think about that. That's coming. Like that, I personally believe that all of that is coming. I think we're getting to a point where our freedoms and everything are really going to be challenged. And to be honest with you, as a person that was formerly of the more liberal persuasion, that's my biggest concern with them. You know, say what you will about like having the freedom to, you know, change certain demographics about yourself. Say what you will about that, okay? But not being able to contest, to protest, to show, to share, all of this stuff is really becoming a problem. We need to have that right. As I stated earlier, these are the kind of things that show everybody all the terrible things going on. So there's an awareness. There should be, you have a right to make things aware to people. First Amendment matters. So, and I know that basically it's completely gutted over in England, but still, I mean, if you're just showing videos and stuff, you shouldn't be chucked into jail and have to get interrogated by the Met Police. I mean, that's just nuts. Again, why go police the streets, bro? Why are you even sitting doing an interview? You should be on the streets protecting your citizens right now from whoever, whether that's far right or you know, some dude that came up the gut through Turkey and got to English shores, whatever that may be. You should be protecting your people. You shouldn't be worried about what they're saying online. Obviously, if you're worried about what people are saying online, you've lost the whole narrative. Like the whole thing is out of your hands in right now. Someone else said that. They said, this is proof that they have basically lost control. Sky News, BBC coming out saying all this stuff. And eventually it's going to be these people. It's going to be CBS, it's going to be ABC. And they're already saying it. Oh, it's just too much. We can't have freedom of speech online. It's just, look at all the terrible things that are said. It gets people hurt. No. People are hurt because of the mentally ill. Just because someone says it doesn't mean that they're going to be, moved to do something. I would say the TMC guy that was at Butler, he got incited not because of what was, being shown online. It's because our political masters are saying we need to have a target on them, or it's going to be a bloodbath. You're basically telling these people that what's going on is so heinous that you're going to be a hero if you go and you take people out. I'd say that's more dangerous. Reading what some jackass says on Twitter, and trust me, I've seen plenty of jackass tweets today going and looking at all the Harris versus Trump crap. Gosh, I'd like that half hour back. Talk about BS. And also, like, looking at these people, this one guy, oh my gosh, his name's Bill Madden, I think. He's like a folk singer. Never heard of the guy, but he's got 180,000 tweets. He's putting out like this Q kind of crap about how this thing between Joe and Kamala to get her into position was this big, vast, plan that's been in for years. And, he's sitting there talking about it, and he's like got this giddy smile on his face. And I'm like, you friggin' schmuck. Like, what? I almost want to tag this post and remember it. So in 2 months, when none of it comes clear, and this is shown as the utter horse crap that it is, I can sit there and do a tweet and say, look, bro, you got this wrong. But then I'm like, this is what people do. This is just stupid. This is stupid. Like, you shouldn't be spending your time all over Twitter. You shouldn't be. You should be living your life. You should be prepping. You should be doing things to help, your family. You should be getting a side hustle, stuff like that. Because this crap's coming. This crap's coming. And yes, that's why I'm here. Yeah, to piss and moan about the political stance of things. But also because, guess what? I'm concerned for my family, and this is a side hustle for me. So, playing music is a side hustle for me. Doing my coaching. Now I'm getting paid, finally. Side hustle. We should be side hustling. Shouldn't be spending time online. Like, the guy's name is like Krasenstein or whatever, and just all this stuff. I mean, these people literally post 24/7 about the political people out there. And I'm like I don't think Kamala is a great choice for president. I'll admit that. But like, I don't have to sit there and spend my entire life just completely focused on her and saying I need people to believe the same thing. I'm more worried about my rights. I'm more worried about my freedom of speech. I'm more worried about the crap that's going on in the Middle East, and the effect on the dollar and the effect on the community of, people over here, whether that's in Dearborn, Michigan, or, downtown Brooklyn. That's what I'm concerned about. And why we're turning on the camera every day. But all this stuff going on right now, I mean, this is just, it's getting too much. I mean, political leaders saying this kind of stuff. I mean, what do you think this is going to do, Joe? You think this is going to help stuff? And by the way, if you're going to say stuff, Joe, make it correct. He didn't say it was going to be a bloodbath in the streets. He meant a bloodbath on the markets. And that's the exact kind of stuff I'm talking about. Because some person of a weak mind is going to hear bloodbath and then go, holy crap, Orange Man bad, me need to stop, me need to be hero. That's what they're going to say. So, all this is going to get worse. It's going to get crazier. It's going to get nuttier. It's, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I really think that there's going to be an interregnum time between November and January where the lawfare is going to be going, and you're not going to know who the heck's going to be the person until inauguration day. And it's not going to be the person you want because they're not going to, for being all about democracy, they sure as heck don't do things democratically. They didn't pick her democratically. They don't do things democratically when it comes to lawfare. That's the kind of stuff I'm concerned about. Politics aside. So, be careful what you tweet, folks. Okay, be careful what you say out there. And trust me, all this is all done on purpose. They don't want you saying stuff. This is all done on purpose. They're saying this on purpose. They want you to be afraid to say stuff. They don't want people on this guy's not going to be able to go out to everybody's house who tweets a video of someone getting the crap kicked out of them because they got caught up in a riot. They're not going to be able to go and get all those people. Also, there are people over there that are taking things and going. They're basically they're misdirecting them. They're calling in now. All these people are calling in and saying, "Hey, I need someone to come down to my apartment, my flat. A rat just, crawled into my vent and it's lighting the house on fire." And of course, the police they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like, well, they're just trying to tie up the lines. They're basically trying to tie it up so the police aren't able to go out and do their jobs. The thing of that on that level. So what are they going after? They're going after for people, tweeting nasty stuff online. And then they go in and say, well, to counteract that, I'm going to misdirect them and send them to people's houses. Again, the police are taken off the streets. Like, I personally am a fan of law enforcement doing what it's supposed to do in a society. Call me old school. Call me old fashioned. I like it when there is a freedom and a safety going on in whatever area I'm at. Makes me feel better. I remember living in New York City and, knowing the local beat cop and seeing him and saying, hey, man, what's going on? Let me hook you up, get him some water or something like that. I liked seeing him. I liked the safe streets. And back then, New York was a heck of a lot safer than it is now. Till de Blasphole came in and Eric Adams took on the scepter from him. So we are in a precarious situation, and that's why I turn on the video and I talk about this stuff. I think it's really concerning. that there are police out there worried about what you put on social media, and you better believe the Americans are watching this. I believe that what's going to happen between November and January is going to be incredibly messed up, and you're going to need to be able to handle your business with whatever disruptions may come, whether that's electricity, whether that's monetary, whether that's financial, whatever it may be. On the crisis report later on, when I go and I do my thing, there are so many stories that are coming out that of companies that are getting rid of people. Axios is getting rid of 10% of its staff or whatever. All these companies are getting rid of staff. People are going to be losing their job in droves coming up in the next year. There is a full-on recession that is basically bearing down and staring us into the eye right now. And the financials are not good. All the stuff going on. The dollar's it's too high. It shouldn't be in like 102, 103. It's too high. The rates are too high. People aren't able to buy a home. Average age is like 38 years old right now. Average price is $480,000. Like, that's too much. So many things going on. So please get your house in order financially and be watching all this stuff. I'm concerned. Many different levels, man. You would have told me when I was 16 years old the world would be looking like the place that it is right now. I would have said, man, tap me out. I don't like seeing it this way. Especially now with kids. That's the biggest concern. Where are we going to be in 20 years? Like, where does all this go? What are things going to look like in 2045? If the people that are really vying for control get control and get rid of our freedom of speech. I'm not going to be as hyperbolic and say, if we don't win this next one, it's going to be the last popularity contest ever. I'm not going to say that. But like a few more of these down the road, you could see things change in a way that we as Americans are not going to like. That was the other concerning thing. Seeing all the Twitter, all the people out there tweeting, the stuff, the orange man bad stuff. Like, there are some real idiots out there. And the other thing is, they're not like talking about anything of worth. Like, there's nothing like just saying, oh, he's old and feeble and he blathers on and I don't like him because he hits an emotional response. That's all fine and well. You don't have to friggin' listen to him. If his financials are better and you can go on vacation and buy a house within a relatively normal amount of price, maybe it doesn't matter what the other person says. I laid that one on my wife the other day. I said, you like to travel? Then you better vote a certain way. Because you won't be traveling with the other team. Trust me. They'll be eyeing your taxes and what you're making like nobody's business. No saviors, folks. No one's going to save us from all this, unfortunately. I really do think that the whole thing is going to hit the side of the rocks and crumble. So you need to be getting your house in order. You need to be doing things to help yourselves, help your family. We are really in a precarious situation. Okay? So, make people aware of it. If you're in the United Kingdom, be careful. I can't even believe I'm saying that. It's just nuts. So, yeah, this is, we're in crazy town. This is clown world. And, guys like this in front of you are the reason why it's going south quickly. So, to Sir Mark Rowley, I hope you get bent, sir. And why don't you stop messing with people tweeting and go stop people from chasing down people in the streets of your fine city and beating the heck out of them with, like, the leg of a chair. Okay? All right, friends, we're going to call it on that one. My OCD is saying 60 minutes is perfect. Please hit the like button, do the subscribe thing if you're new here, if you like what we're doing, and help me out, share it out. We're hitting a little bit of a pushback from the powers that be. If you could help me out, that'd be great. But you know what? to their credit, at least we're able to still come here and do it. So we'll keep doing it until we can't. All right? We'll see you on the next one. God bless. PrepperNow out.